ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to all our participants joining us from across India and beyond. I'm Monica Bachchan, the Woori, and it's my privilege to host you today for Metalogic 55th webinar, a proud milestone in our journey of creating knowledge platform for the steel and allied industry. The program is in association with DGTS. Today's session focuses on a development that is shaping the very foundation of how steel and related products enter and move within India. The Ministry of Steel latest quality control order, which makes BIS certification mandatory for imports and related input material, this moves mark a decisive step in India's quality push aimed not only at protecting domestic consumers but also at ensuring our manufacturing ecosystem meets global standards. These regulations will have far reaching implications from manufacturers and importers to end users, impacting sourcing strategies, cost structures, compliance processes, and overall competitiveness. And that's exactly what we are here to decode. At Metalogic, our goal with every webinar is to go beyond the headlines and bring you deep, actionable insights from the very people shaping, interpreting, and implementing these changes. And with this begins our 55th webinar. I must thank you, our growing community of professionals, for your continued trust, active participation, and willingness to engage in meaningful industry dialogues. We are truly honored to have us an exceptional panel of thought leaders and domain experts who will help us to understand why and how of new QCO. With us today, we have Mr. Shri Sumit Kumar, Additional Director General, Directorate General of Taxpayer Services, bringing clarity on government enforcement and facilitation mechanism. We have Dr. Aruna Sharma, former Steel Secretary, Government of India, whose deep policy expertise and industry perspective will help us to understand the strategic intent behind these measures. We have Mr. Vinod Gupta, Executive Director, Commercial Steel Authority of India Limited, sharing the perspective of India's largest steel makers on operational readiness and industry adaptation. We have Mr. Vedant Goyal, Managing Director of Enlight Metals, offering a business leader view on navigating market realities in new compliance environment. And we have Mr. Vikram Kulkarni, Partner Tax and Regulatory Services of EY, who will shed lights on legal, regulatory, and compliance dimension. We have a packed and insightful discussion ahead, so I encourage you to engage actively, note your questions, send your questions in the Q&A box on your screens. We will also be going to have some poll questions, so please be ready. Let's use this platform to ensure we leave with not only clarity but also a roadmap for aligning with India's quality vision. I would like to now invite Shri Sumit Kumar, ADG, Director General of Taxpayer Services, to give a welcome note. Over to you, sir. Please unmute.
Thank you so much. A very good afternoon to all the panelists and the members who have joined. It is indeed a privilege and honor to extend a very warm welcome to the former Steel Secretary, Government of India, Dr. Aruna Sharma, Shri Vinod Gupta, ED Commercial Sale, Shri Vedant Goyal, Director, Enlight Metals Private Limited, Shri Vikram Kulkarni, Partner, Indirect Tax and Global Trade, EY India, Ms. Monica Bachchan, CEO and Founder of Metalogic PMS Private Limited, all are my colleagues, taxpayers, members of trade associations, and the participants of this event. I greatly appreciate the support and cooperation extended by Metalogic Project Management Service Private Limited in conducting this outreach program, knowledge sharing, and accelerating taxpayer education at appropriate levels, enabling Government of India to address and redress the problems of the taxpayers. I'd like to mention that my organization, Directorate General of Taxpayer Services, is headquartered in New Delhi and has 6 zonal units. I'm the Principal Additional Director General of the Mumbai Zonal Unit, which is catering to the entire state of Maharashtra and Goa. The mandate of my organization is to reach out to taxpayers to redress the grievances that they have, to create awareness and forward the goal of taxpayer education about the change in laws, rules, procedures relating to indirect taxation, GST, customs, and the allied areas, and to clarify the doubts arising in following the law. It's our constant endeavor to bring in current and relevant topics, facilitating the trade association, taxpayers, importers, exporters, in enriching their knowledge and enabling them to become aware of the changes and in helping them with tax compliance. Our uh, uh, aim is to have need-based events conducted with the help of partner organizations by taking inputs from trade. And today's event is one such very important topic. India's quality push, what the new QCO means for you, focusing on customs and GST perspective. Uh, when the goods are imported, they require examination of BIS certification and physical inspection by customs, check of the documentation, and there's an interplay of GST and customs at all stages. Non-compliance with these requirements may result in action by the port authorities, confiscation of imported goods, penalty, destruction, re-export of imported goods. Hence, it is very important that all our taxpayers and trade groups understand the implications of what they have to follow. I therefore welcome all of you to this event. The Ministry of Steel has issued a new quality control order, making BIS certification mandatory for many imported steel products. This move underscores the government's commitment to ensuring the quality of steel products in India aligns with global standards. Importers must comply with ensuring certification and ISI marking for affected products to avoid any issues with customs during clearance of these items. And the proper certification and following of rules will enhance quality control, promote fair trade practices, safeguard consumer interests. Today, we will go into this topic, decode quality control for steel industry from customs and GST perspective. With these words, I welcome all the participants to this insightful event. Thank you, Jai Hind, and back to you.
Thank you so much, Sumit sir. I would like to now invite Dr. Aruna Sharma to share her thoughts on the significance and expected impact of these new quality control orders. Over to you, ma'am.
Right. Thank you so much. And I thank Mr. Sumit Kumar for bringing down the focus with complete clarity. If you look at it in the steel, you have the blast furnace manufacturers, what we call as a primary steel, and when we have a secondary steel, which comes through other routes. Now, what was happening in the bidding with the government, where government is the major consumer of steel in terms for infrastructure building, they used to put the advertisements and tenders that steel only from the blast furnace route. And that was creating a lot of problem, and therefore the steel industry worked with the BIS and came up with a series of specifications for getting the BIS standard, putting this route neutral, so that irrespective of from what route you make the steel, the quality will be tested and that will be applicable to everybody. So that is the background behind going in a very big way for the steel industry for the BIS certifications. And that has proved very, very effective. And within India, the domestic manufacturers have enhanced their quality, have reached that, their phosphorus content has come down, and they had a very good impact. Then the next graduating stage was to have a quality control into the intermediary products. So the intermediary inputs which goes into the final product of steel making. And that is what the new QCA or the quality control order is looking forward. So it is applicable to both the domestic industry as well as to the import. And when we are importing, the customs come into picture. Now, in the past, if the end product is to be certified with BIS, then yes, a BI certification on the end product makes the job of customs very convenient, so that the goods which are coming within the India are taken care of. Now with this new QCA order, when you are talking about the intermittent supplies, which enters into the final steel product, which is important, then how do you ensure the quality control? If you look at this existing order which has been issued by the government, they have put the clause of self-certification. So self-certification will have to be tested by the customs at the airport that, okay, the intermediary product qualifies to the BI standards of ABC, which have been the inputs into making this final product. And that is what will allow them at the first stage. Therefore, you must have seen what they were planning to execute immediately. A time gap was given for 4 months. Some of the goods have been at present being taken out from this quality control order, so that the processes and the procedures are more fine-tuned to avoid any complexities. And there is also an order, there is apprehensions as to what happens to the goods which are already in the shipment. So already they have issued from which country, if the shipment has left in these months, they'll be allowed without this BIS self-certification or the new BIS standard quality which has come. So in the sense, one is very important to have a quality control, because India is a low infrastructure country and a lot of things are going into infrastructure construction. Number two, the steel intensive infrastructure is coming up in a very big way. So when you go for the precast construction in the real estate, whether what you call used to maximum use of sarias and other kind of things. Similarly, when you look at the big bridges and roads that are being constructed, the steel consumption, the steel proportion in what was before is going up. In India, in the real estate, it used to be 12% and target is to take it to 45% of usage. So you can imagine the kind of steel that will be used in the coming days. Already that graph is going up. The consumption, as what I remember in 2015, we were 54 kg per capita. We have already touched 100 kg, right? And the target is to reach the 160 kg by 2030. So you can imagine the quantity of steel will be used, and therefore very important that quality control is ruthlessly used, because the beauty of steel is at least 100 years of life cycle. And we don't want cracks, we don't want collapses, we don't want any problems coming anywhere. That strictness has to come. So when it is applicable to domestic, it has to be equally applicable to what is imported. Even though our imports is 9 to 10% only on this date, and which may enhance by 2030 to 20%. But even then, every drop of steel which comes within the India has to comply by BIS. So here, these BIS standards are going to be there. The industry is to gear up. Time has been given to iron out any of the apprehensions or problems or process problems that are needed. So already ministry is on work into it. As far as the imports are concerned, the final product will be tested for the BIS as per the quality control order. But intermittent inputs which they have used as the product, at this moment of time, the self-standardization, self-certification is accepted. So that is how it is going to work. And slowly then it will reach that the industry abroad, which is sort of making that good, will acquire this BIS quality standards, so that the whole chain is taken care of and there is no problem when it enters India, whether at the customs point or others. And custom is completely geared for the final BIS certification, and they are completely geared when they test for scraps. Like when we get the scrap from abroad, any radioactive or anything is there, that is also tested. So in the sense that gearing is also going to come there. And in this, some more clarifications needed. Of course, you're welcome during Q&A. So thank you, Monica.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And now I will move to Mr. Vinod Gupta. So you are invited. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Madam Dr. Aruna Sharma, Mr. Sumit Kumar, and other panelists. First of all, I would like to give a few examples regarding quality control order, why it has been brought about. Number one, all of you must be aware that the Bhuj earthquake, which happened about 20 years back, there was all the buildings had collapsed except for certain buildings which were built by where Steel Authority and Tata Steel were used. So the main producer's steel was of better quality, and therefore all the buildings remained intact. And the other producers' steel collapsed because of the chemistry being not in line with their requirements. Till very recent times, billets blooms, which were earlier were being rolled with any chemistry into TMT. They used to have very high carbon, very high sulfur rates, very high phosphorus rates, and those used to be very brittle. And that's why these buildings collapsed during any earthquake, and therefore these quality adherence to quality was not there. Similarly, in the recent Turkey earthquake, you all must have seen that the many buildings had collapsed there also, where inferior spurious materials were used. So this bringing about this QCO is very, very important. Another examples were that substandard stainless steel imports were being used in medical equipments, utensils, and which are very dangerous for human beings. Similarly, there were a lot of complaints about tin plates being imported in defective grades, which were used for packaging of baby foods. This was very harmful for the health of all these babies and small children. So what the government of India has brought about in this QCOs, it has really revolutionized the entire nation, and we are strictly adhering to the quality, and this is very, very essential. The first QCO was issued by the Ministry of Steel and during 2018. These QCOs are to ensure quality steel that is available to consumers by enforcing BIS standards. The QCOs are to prevent possibility of import of substandard steel. Similarly, such compliances are mandated for public interest, protection of human life and safety, plant health, safety and of environment, prevention of unfair trade practices, and national security. Now coming to these QCOs. QCOs are to prevent possibility of import of substandard steel. The declaration by integrated steel plants to Ministry of Steel as per these guidelines, where the main producers are declaring about the BIS license and submitting all the relevant documents to the relevant authorities. Similarly, there were some cases of GP class 10 galvanized plain sheets where coating is around 80 grams per square meter, and many spurious GP was coming into the market where very low galvanized coating, zinc coating was there. These are again very, very harmful. So it also brings about, these QCOs also brings about help to the public, as the public at large are not conversant with the foreign standards which were being imported. The BIS standard assures the public of the quality assurance in the country today. The QCOs are neither unique to India or to steel. CIRIM certification in Malaysia, CE certification in Europe, CARES certification of UK are mandating compliances to specified national standards, and these are nothing but QCOs by other names. The Ministry of Steel clarification of 13th June 25 for BIS compliance of intermediate materials like HR and CR used in the manufacture of import of final steel products. This aims to enhance product quality and support domestic steel producers by ensuring strict adherences to existing quality control orders. Some steel grades which are not yet covered by QCO by Ministry of Steel can be imported with a NOC from the Ministry of Steel. Many manufacturers were trying to import steel with minor alterations to bypass BIS standard requirements, and they were trying to import inferior quality of materials in the domestic market. In fact, there were till November 24, about 594 applications were submitted to the Ministry of Steel, and out of that, after scrutiny and investigation, they could issue 141 NOCs for import of steels, as the other were just trying to import spurious and inferior material. So therefore, I think the step taken by the government of India by having these QCOs are the need of the hour, and for a country like us, where there is a lot of impetus on infrastructure growth, I think it's very, very essential to adhere to these QCOs and that brings about development of our nation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And before I come to Vedanji, I'm launching 2 poll questions in front of you, audience. So there are 2 poll questions. I request everybody to participate and cast your vote. Question number 1 is, how prepared is your organization for compliance with the new QCO and BIS certification requirements? You have got 4 options: fully prepared, already compliant, partially prepared, working on compliance, not prepared, need significant changes, not sure, need more clarity. You have question number 2 in front of you. What do you see as the biggest challenge in implementing the new QCO? You have got 5 options: BIS certification process timeline. Second option is increased cost of compliance, then disruption in sourcing and imports, or lack of clarity in regulation, or others. You can specify your other in the chat box or Q&A box in front of your system in your app, Zoom app. Please cast your vote. How prepared is your organization for compliance with the new QCO and BIS certification requirement? And what do you see as the biggest challenge in implementing the new QCOs? So I want all of you to participate, all the audience we have today. So while the audience is voting, I am handing over to Vedanji. Over to you, Vedanji.
Thank you so much, Monica ji, for the opportunity. Thank you, Aruna madam, Sumit sir, Vinod ji, and Vikram ji. So let me share some of the concern related to QCO. Like as we are into the trade industry, we have warehouses in Pune, Bombay, and other parts of Maharashtra area. So as shared by Vinod sir and Aruna madam, QC is very important because most of the importers are trying to import the inferior quality of raw material. As shared by Vinod sir, most of the applications has been submitted in Ministry of Steel, but unfortunately most of the applications got rejected. So let me share few points with you. The very important point will be supply chain disruptions. Importers will face delay and possible shortage if foreign supplier like China, Vietnam, Russia, and other non-BIS compliant region cannot rapidly meet new QCO certification standards. This can result in difficulties with custom clearance, lead time increasing, and forced inventory losses for unsold or non-compliant good. The second and most important will be the compliance cost. The need to ensure that all imported and locally sourced good conform to BIS standard means additional testing, paperwork, and certification expenses. This is especially acute for MSME whose resources and negotiating capacity are limited. Complying with QCO can raise input cost and erode margins, making it harder to compete or even remain viable in sector dominated by larger, better resource players. Third will be operational flexibility. QCOs reduce flexibility in sourcing across borders. Domestic manufacturer might gain short-term advantages due to reduced competition, but global clients used to rapid, flexible, and low-cost sourcing may see disruption affecting exports and relationship with international partners. Quality and brand reputation. By raising standard industry-wise QCO, encouraging innovation, process upgrades, and workforce training, business able to adapt will see higher customer satisfaction, reduce defect rates, and improve global competitiveness, strengthening India's reputation as a high-quality manufacturing hub. Domestic manufacturing boost. Stricter quality controls can protect domestic manufacturer from the dumping of poor quality imports. And fair playing field and enabling more systematic industrial growth. It can drive investment, attract foreign brand like seeking reliable, compliant supplier, and lift industry discipline and organization. There are some disadvantages for MSMEs, smaller enterprises who depend on low-cost imports and have limited compliance adaptation, capacity risk being marginalized. Higher imports cost and rigid compliance requirement may exclude them from global value chain and domestic supply network, ultimately reducing sector dynamism and employment. Large corporations already capable of absorbing compliance cost and managing robust supply chain may see their market share increase at the expense of MSME and trade unable to swiftly adapt. As shared by Vinod sir, there are so many earthquakes already done in the earlier, but few of the buildings have the very good quality of steel material. And as a MSME, as a trade organization, we try to create awareness to all the automobile component manufacturer, to all the real estate companies to use the BIS certified material only to have their long term stability and sustainability of their projects. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vedanji. Now I like to invite Mr. Vikram Kulkarni to make a presentation. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Monica ji. Let me just first try and share my screen. Just let me know, ma'am, if my screen is visible, and then I can start.
Your screen is visible to us. Just put it on the slideshow mode. We can see the slides. Yes.
Great. So let me first thank you, Monica ji, for giving this opportunity and to attend this webinar and present and share my thoughts. I would like to thank Sumit Kumar sir, Principal ADG DGTS, for involving me in this presentation. Many thanks to Dr. Aruna Sharma, Mr. Vinod Gupta, and Mr. Vedant Goyal for sharing the perspective from different angles, from the government side, from the public sector side, and also from the general trade side. So we have got a 360-degree view of the impact of these quality control orders, especially for the steel industry. So what I'll try to cover in my presentation today is to decode these QCOs, or the quality control orders for the steel, from the perspective of customs and GST. As you all know, that customs is the gatekeeper of the country. So anything which enters into the country, customs is the first, agency which the people will find at the frontiers of India. And as that responsibility, the customs is not only required to ensure collection of the customs duties which are applicable on the products, it is also expected and required from customs to ensure adherence to various other laws which are applicable to a country. So if any product is restricted for certain reasons by a certain statute under the country, it's the customs which will ensure its implementation. So when we talk about QCOs or the BIS controls over the various commodities, steel being one of those such commodities, it's the duty of customs to ensure that all the conditions laid therein or under a particular statute are properly adhered to. So we know that QCO has been made applicable to more than 151 steel and steel products. Numerous products are covered. We've just heard the experts highlighting the reasons for inclusion of those products and why they are so important. Of course, here I would like to highlight that there are certain exemptions available for application of these QCOs. So typically, if any goods are being manufactured within India and they are going to be exported, and the exports or the quality of the products is subject to the foreign buyers' requirements, then there is no need or there is no requirement to adhere to the QCOs for those particular products because they are going to be exported out of the country as per the requirements of the buyer. Similarly, there are certain imports which eventually turn into products which will be exported out of the country. They have been kept out of the purview. For example, the imports under the advanced authorizations or imports by the export-oriented units or by the units operating under the special economic zones. Now, here I would like to highlight one thing that even these imports which have been provided relief from adhering to these QCOs, you need to be very clear that the reason for this exemption or relaxation is primarily to ensure on a condition that these goods or the finished goods manufactured out of these products will be eventually exported out of the country. They won't be cleared into the domestic market. That's the understanding. So one has to be very clear. In fact, in respect of advanced authorizations, you need to ensure that there is a suitable endorsement on your license or advanced authorization certificate. In case if there is no endorsement, wherein which properly mandates that you are going to export and these products are covered under the BIS regulations or a particular QCO, if that is not endorsed, then the customs will not entertain and you will have to face the consequences. They will not be allowed to enter. So there are certain things which probably people may not be aware that these exemptions or relief, they come with a rider and therefore need to be very, very careful in case if there is an instance of the goods being cleared to the domestic market despite these exemptions. There are heavy penalties which can be imposed. And of course, waste and scrap generated has been excluded out of this. But whenever you are importing the goods which are covered under QCOs for these specified purposes, you need to be very careful about it. Now, there are certain things which you need to be careful about while you are importing certain goods which are covered under these QCOs. And I would like to highlight a few of them. See, for example, the customs, the role of the customs, as Sumit sir also highlighted, that primary role is to examine whether the goods are covered under BIS certification or otherwise. So the assessing group would ensure that if a particular goods which are being imported are covered under the QCO, then they would definitely ask either for the proper BIS certification, or if there is an NOC, they'll ask for the NOC. Just remember one thing: customs is not the deciding authority or the relief granting authority. The authorities are the respective line ministries. Customs is there only to ensure implementation of those QCOs. So they'll be examining the certificates which are there. In fact, if required, the customs may also carry out a physical inspection of the goods which are being imported. I mean, if somebody has kind of misdeclared it, and if it comes to their notice that there is a misdeclaration, just in order to avoid this kind of requirement, there could be stringent actions. The consignments can be detained, seized, and the imports may be rejected. There could be temptations to misdeclare the consignments. In order to avoid this, so my advice to all the importers is that be careful. If your product is covered under a QCO, or if there is a requirement under BIS, you need to adhere to it. Please don't circumvent it. Otherwise, it can have very, very nasty implications. Now, again, SIMS is an important aspect which you need to be very careful about. There are certain timelines given. So one has to adhere to those timelines. One needs to file those declarations and obtain the SIMS certificate. Otherwise, your imports may get hampered. If your products require an NOC from the Ministry of Steel, for example, I mean, if the steel grade is not covered under the existing BIS standards, or it is not available domestically, or not replaceable by any other grade, then you need to obtain an NOC from the Steel Ministry in order to get your products cleared by the customs. Now, there is a very big interplay of customs and GST in these QCOs. You see, we probably may not realize that you're registered under GST, and you are carrying out various compliances like your monthly returns, your annual returns. And in those returns, you must be declaring your tariff HSN codes, the quality or the quantity of the steel or the products which you are manufacturing and clearing in or bringing into for manufacturing your finished goods. All these data are being captured, and there is a huge backend system which churns out this data, which is sourced from various sources: customs, GST, SIMS, DGFT. All these kinds of sources, the data is being filed by us, and if the system detects any kind of mismatch, or if there is some sort of a gray area or a red flag, then definitely system will highlight that, and you may come under scrutiny. So therefore, as I mentioned earlier, any attempt to circumvent the system may result into something, some consequences which probably are not desirable, neither by the trade nor by the government of India. So need to be very careful, and that's why GST and customs play a very, very important role in these kind of regulatory requirements. As we've all discussed, I mean, that the non-compliance of any of these QCO requirements, it's a very apparent. I mean, one is that your goods may be confiscated by the customs authorities. There could be penalties imposed. The goods may be destroyed, or they may be required to be re-exported along with the penalties. So the non-compliance consequences of non-compliance are pretty undesirable, and therefore makes it more imperative for everybody concerned to ensure that you are on the right side of the law, and every boxes are ticked as far as the compliances or regulatory requirement compliances are concerned from your end. Moving on, while we discussed what are the consequences, what are the requirements, I would like to highlight that now that this is something which is going to be there, the whole intent of the entire exercise is to ensure that the Indian market is not flooded with substandard products. The Indian industry gets to compete or remain competitive in the entire scheme of things. And you should not be caught off guards because of the non-compliance. So there are certain suggestions which I would like to put across or discuss here in this slide. There are certain things which you can avoid. This is a purely avoidable kind of thing. We have seen that the general complaint is that people are importers, they face the challenges on account of delay in their import consignments, delay in obtaining the NOCs, etc., which results into price escalations, costs, etc. So how you can avoid all those inconveniences? The best way is to preempt and take protective action right well in time, so that you don't face all this at the time of when your products are already landed up in the port of import and you are facing the customs. So one is like you can do an HSN review, a comprehensive review of your HSN codes of the steel which you're going to import or the steel products you're going to import, and see whether they are covered in any of the QCOs or not. If they are, then of course you need to see what kind of IS standard has been mentioned and where they are covered in that IS standard, and then thereafter whether your supplier is a BIS compliant. So before putting in your order to your supplier based abroad, you must see whether if the supplier is BIS compliant or not. If the supplier is not compliant, then it is definitely advisable to take a step back and see whether it is worth importing, because it's going to not only cost you the cost of the goods, but the overhead costs which are underlying that import, which won't be allowed by the customs authorities when it lands up into the country. So therefore, ensuring that either the supplier is BIS compliant. If not, maybe you can advise them to obtain the BIS compliances, which again is a very, very time consuming process. And therefore, of course, it may take time, but better late than never. That's the advice here. Of course, if there is a requirement of obtaining an NOC from the Ministry of Steel in advance, then you need to ensure that your application for NOC goes well in time to the Ministry of Steel so that they are able to analyze it. And believe me, I mean, if you are able to justify the requirement, I'm sure you will. There should not be an issue in obtaining the NOC, unless, of course, there are certain challenges for the ministry to grant you that. But in any case, it should go well in time so that you obtain it before the goods are actually received into the port of import. Timely registration in SIMS is an important requirement. You should ensure that that's been done well in time. Otherwise, there could be penalties, there could be delay in clearances of goods. Above all, they say that I mean, it's better to be prepared in advance rather than being reactive after the thing has happened. So supply chain management is probably a very important aspect which you need to look into. You need to identify the BIS requirements and source those goods from those suppliers who are registered under the BIS. Who are BIS compliant. That will help you reduce your headache at the customs frontier to a very, very large extent. So that is one. Managing the supply chain, accordingly choosing your suppliers based abroad, or if at all there is no supplier who is registered under BIS, maybe advising them and helping them in obtaining the BIS certifications, so that going forward, at least you may not face that heat. And lastly, training the teams. One of the very, very important aspects, whoever is concerned in procurement, placing the purchase orders or procuring or identifying the suppliers, it's important to sensitize those team members to these regulatory requirements so that they can take care of while placing an order, they will ensure that they are adhering to these requirements, be it obtaining BIS, be it or sourcing it from a BIS registered vendor, be it obtaining an NOC before the goods arrive. So all these things, all these headaches can always be taken care of if you are vigilant and proactive in your approach. So this is what from my side. Over to you, Monika ji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vikramji, for the detailed presentation from the customs point of view. Now we are opening the house for the Q&A and to Dr. Aruna Sharma. Ma'am, there are many questions which are pouring. And to start, I would like to ask you, from the policy standpoint, what core objectives is the government aiming to achieve through the latest QCO? And how do these align with India's long-term industrial strategy, ma'am?
Yeah, very well said. Some of them are technical, which I'm sure my colleagues will answer to it. One thing which has come out very clear among the deliberations of the panelists is that the need of having quality control is not questioned, even by Vedant Goyal, who appreciates that MSMEs will have to gear up for it. It's only a question of time for them to be better placed in the market. So we started the story in 2018, and today it is the steel which has got the maximum BIS standards. If you look at it, the BIS will endorse that we have the maximum standards, because the whole intention of enhancing the steel usage was a longevity, what you call it as a life cycle cost. So if you are comparing a cost with the life cycle cost, which we got it amended in general financial rules, then life cycle cost has to be guaranteed for not less than 100 years. So when that kind of a guarantee is coming, then definitely everything that goes into it has to be of a quality. And with that understanding, this QCO started rolling it since 2018, and the industry has started adopting it. The latest one which has come is the intermittent inputs, which are going into the final product of steel making. and has been very rightly said by Mr. Gupta, was absolutely clear that we are having spurious thing more and more in the stainless steel and the food industry, because the cost between the import and what you're getting locally is 8 to 9%. And that is thanks to a lot of taxation and expensive credit and expensive power that we have in this country. So with this kind of a comparison, what is happening is the nickel content in stainless steel, the lining of food packaging, which nowadays the youngsters are moving more and more to packaged food. It is very, very important that this discipline gets in. And as Mr. Goyal very rightly said, it's only a question of to give them a little breather for them to gear up to come to it. So with this, I think I'm very sure they are going to go ahead with it. Yes, our worry was China, which was becoming a dumping yard, and getting anti-dumping, as you know, is very cumbersome. It takes 2 to 3 years to get anti-dumping when we are working on it, which is WTO compliant. And India has been very particular about putting anti-dumping, which is a kind of tariff, which is completely 100% WTO compliant. We never missed out on that. Now, the need has come to become stricter into this non-tariff barriers by quality control itself. That, okay, we don't accept anything which is less than this quality. And once this comes up, even the suppliers abroad will start gearing to get the BIS license, who are the input providers into the final product which is getting imported in India. So that is the thought process, and it is for the good of each one of us. When you look at it, the steel which is used in India will be guaranteed BIS come what may, whether it's locally manufactured, whether MSME manufactured or imported. They will be on par as far as the quality is concerned, and definitely there will be initial hiccups as we had in 2018 when this regime of BIS came up. But ultimately, it was like a win-win situation for all, and that is what made the whole difference. So that takes care of dumping protection without having an anti-dumping or without having a safeguard duty. Because if everybody follows the quality, unless until there is the major cost of manufacturing in India going up, they'll be absolutely competitive. So the question when they have asked that dumping protection will become a part of this very good non-quality, non-tariff barriers which will be coming up and which will be of a great advantage. And with the AI coming, the time taken for giving NOCs or giving BIS certificate or analyzing the data, what Mr. Kulkarni very beautifully said, that there'll be a lot of data coming from different sources. So anybody who tries that, okay, they can mess around with it, is not advisable at all, because with AI, the analytics will be better and immediately it will be caught that, okay, non-compliant BIS standard is finding a way to enter India. So that care you have to take, and definitely it will go a long way. And I'm very sure that BIS will take care of training the customs that what is the kind of certificate that is looked at. In exports also, because of the export standards that are given, the exemptions are there. But that country's quality standard is applicable. So it is not that it is becoming a bad quality thing which is going. The importer outside of the Indian goods is applying their own quality standards into it, and that is taking care of it. There was one apprehension that if the quality standards are already there in that country, why should they take the BIS from us when they are exporting to India? See, actually, there will be a comparative list and they will be advised to take the BIS certificate because that is our standard, the standard of India. It may be on par with maybe what Europe has or what any other country which is exporting to India is having. But there will be a comparative chart available and they will be advised to take the BIS certificate from India. So the custom should be very clear of it, that equivalent will be allowed, can be an intermediary arrangement, but ultimately the intention behind this quality control order is very, very clear, that they have to get the BIS certificate as per the standards given by India. I hope related questions I have answered, Monica.
Yes, ma'am. And I also like to make an announcement that DGTS has just shared a link.
There are some technical questions which my colleagues can take.
Yes, ma'am. So DGTS has shared a feedback form link in the chat box, which is not clickable. So you need to copy the URL and post it on your browser to access the link. Coming to my next question, which I want to ask all the panelists, maybe you can raise your hand while answering it. So there is a notion that the importers who are feeling that this QCO is meant to stop imports. Is it true, or is it that we are trying to meet the standards which is required for the Indian infrastructure requirements? So anybody can answer. This is the open-ended questions, because a lot of traders and a lot of importers we have spoken, they all have this thought that this is meant to stop the imports. Is it true? Vinod sir, over to you.
Madam, regarding this question, let me be very clear. I think the Ministry of Steel and Ministry of Commerce are very clear about this, that no industry should get affected because of these QCOs. In fact, I have attended a meeting a couple of months back where there were a lot of transformer manufacturers, electrical good manufacturers, where they were talking about CRGO. And the government was very open that the CRGO imports can take place, and they'll issue the NOC so that the production of power, all these power plants which are coming up, and power transformers which are being manufactured is not affected. So I personally feel that if you have a genuine reason, I think the government will certainly help in imports. They are not obstructing any imports. As regards to some of the perception that this is a non-tariff barrier, it is certainly not, because it's good for the country that we have only imported goods which are brought in the country. Let me give an example. A friend of mine who works in Tripura, recently he told me about this milk food packet, this tin containers, which were being given as aid to Bangladesh and Burma area, that was being smuggled into Tripura, Agartala. And there he said that the template that is coming in, the boxes which are being used for milk food packaging, that is rusted from inside. So one way is that you are stopping the imports of the defective tin plates. But what do we do for these milk boxes which are coming in through the border, porous borders, and that is affecting. So I think we need to be more stringent so that the people are not harmed. The people of India should not get harmed or have any problems as such. So we need to be more stringent for all these spurious materials that is being imported. Then let me tell you that in the shipping grades plates that are being imported, that we have BIS came out with certain BIS codes, IS 14650 and other grades, that has helped the domestic steel industry to produce commercial grade ships in the country, which has been given a boost in the country, which was earlier being made in Scandinavian countries. So all these things are helping the domestic industry. It's helping the MSMEs also to produce in the country by using BIS certified plates. There was one question regarding this plates, rolled plates being imported from China and in the form of tank or roll plates. I think if it's used for zinc bath or any other product, I think most of the steel rolled plates are being manufactured by the Indian producers. So you can find out from the steel producers what are those grades, because in case there is some very specific usage, then they can apply for NOC. Otherwise, I think most of the plates are being produced in the country. That's all from my side, Monica. Thank you.
So also I want to add one more point, like earlier, as Vinod sir also already shared, that if you see the import for GP, the GSM is very low. The objective of QCO is to make sure that we don't import the inferior quality of the steel products. But most of the uh, importers or most of the manufacturer are trying to dump the inferior quality, but through QCO we will get an advantage that the quality will be of superior quality, as India is a very growing country. And in India, if you have really observed, most of the parts which was importing earlier are manufacturing and exported by India right now. So let me also share you an example of the toy products. If you observe, most of the toy products earlier imported by the importers from China, but nowadays uh, domestic manufacturers are manufacturing all the toys and supplying in the in the domestic industry. So QCO will definitely help to get the good product and the superior quality.
Thank you, Vedant, for highlighting this galvanizing zinc coating. Because let me tell you, this recent QCO issued by the Ministry of Steel regarding imports of some intermediate products, there were certain products like color coated sheets with very thin coating of zinc and inferior quality of CR being imported in the country. So such type, if you just ensure that final coating of color coated sheets, that is not sufficient. Your intermediate HR, CR, galvanized coating should also adhere to the BIS certifications. Then only that product will last and will have a life as per the specifications. But if you get inferior intermediate products, that's going to really harm the country as a whole, and it will cost us very severely. Thank you for highlighting, bringing about this point.
I
So
totally
I
agree,
would
sir.
like to,
Also,
yeah, sorry,
I
I would
totally
like to raise another question from the custom perspective. So, what are the key compliance and certification challenges companies are likely to face under the new QCO regime, especially importers?
So,
Vikram.
Monica, ji, if I may, as I highlighted earlier on, that customs are the Dwarpals, we are the gatekeepers. We only follow the regulations which are already in place. So, if a particular product requires a QCO, registration or an NOC, whatever the case may be, you need to provide that. And if it is not there, in the absence of that particular document, customs will be simply unable to clear those goods. And therefore, yes, challenges definitely are there, provided you are not prepared for it. But as I mentioned during my presentation, it's the time, you know that this is going to be there, and the purpose is larger. The purpose is for the national interest. The purpose is that spurious or low standard products should not be dumped into our country. That's the whole purpose. So anybody who is concerned or who's going to manufacture, who requires such inputs for their manufacturing, need to sort of take a step back and streamline their procurement process, so that they are either importing the proper material which conforms to our standards. And then, of course, if you're conforming to the standards, then there should not be any challenge whatsoever. So I hope I have answered your query.
Yes, sir. So, moving on to the next question from the custom aspect, what we want to understand, because there are many people, many steel importers and traders who are sitting in the conference webinar right now. They want to know that what kind of support, awareness, or a facilitation measures will be extended to help businesses, especially MSME, meet BIS certification requirement. So, what kind of support, the custom or DGTS can provide to the importers
If I
or
may
traders?
add to this query, Government of India has an entire machinery in taxpayer services, which is there to provide one to deal with your grievances. So, for example, there can be two set of issues. One is importers or exporters or even the indirect taxpayers may have some issues with the field formations which they feel has not been taken up in the right perspective. We are there. You can contact us directly. You can contact us at the time you're contacting field formation or thereafter. We look into it. We'll make sure that we are your advocates. We'll get it done. Second is the policy perspective. So you may have some issues with the policy. Now, as the panelists have mentioned, custom is the enforcement agency. We are the gatekeepers. We stand at the door and we enforce the rules and regulations of allied government bodies. While enforcement has to be done as per the rules, but the policy perspective changes, we can always advocate from your side. We'll examine your suggestions and we'll send it up to the ministry. Once the ministry feels that some feedback is required, we'll come back to you. We'll seek further information. Maybe we will survey you. We'll talk to you. We'll have events like this, and we will then take up these matters. The third issue is, if the taxpayers want, they can approach us and say that these are the issues where we need your help. For example, the entire custom clearance and also GST is taxpayer driven. They have to fulfill the requirements, which means that they have to know the issues. They have to know how it is to be done. Most of it is online. There is very few areas where you have to physically go and meet anyone. You're not supposed to meet anyone. So for that, we will organize the events. We'll talk to you. We will talk to other organizations, trade bodies, universities, anybody who has access to the taxpayers, and we'll deal with these and organize events. And finally, the third major area of our work is to reach out to print media, electronic media, social media, and project the government efforts, and also to get a feedback from them. So I encourage everybody. We have put a feedback form also. We'd like everybody to give us a feedback. It'll help us to devise better, more accurate, more focused programs. Also understand their concerns. Sometimes anecdotal evidence does not help us. So we'd like to know your concerns. That should help you also by helping us get this work done. Thank you.
Right, sir. And we will also be sending this feedback form link through email to all the participants. I'm raising the last question. How do you see the interplay between QCO requirement and existing trade agreement or WTO norms? Could this trigger dispute or require policy adjustment? I'm again taking this question to Mr. Vikram, and anyone from the customer also can respond to this.
Monica, very, very relevant topic. But let me be very clear about it, that these FTAs are very deeply thought out agreements entered between the countries. So when we talk about line items which have been covered in those FTAs, a lot of homework has gone into it while arriving at a certain agreement or understanding between the two nations to grant those exemptions or reduce rates to those particular commodities. When we talk about QCOs or BIS requirements, there won't be any distinction between an FTA import or a non-FTA import. The rules remain same for everybody. So probably yes, there could be certain hiccups in case of imports, even those from the FTA countries with whom we have FTAs, but who are not complying with the BIS requirements, because there is so far no exemptions. But what I see is the larger interest is for both the economies to flourish and do the trade together. So to send a substandard product which does not conforms to our requirements will not be conducive to us, and therefore will be against the whole ethos of the FTA which has been entered into. So what I see is, in a long term, I guess these are initial hiccups which are happening. Going forward, as the things streamline, as there is more sensitization amongst the trade, things will settle down and people will know what to do. So coming to your question again, FTAs, there may be hiccups, maybe at initial stages, but then I think they will be solutions going forward, in the sense that the suppliers from those countries would apply for BIS certifications, and I'm sure our government will take proactive measures to see to it that they get the requisite certification if they conform to our requirements. Thank you.
Madam, here I would like to add one more point, and would want Vikram sir to just elaborate it a little bit further. That quality control orders usually comes at a later stage. Before that, standards are like set by BIS or the Bureau of Indian Standards. So once these standards are given, there is an elaborate document in these standards. You will find that a process is being defined, how it will be taken care, and what will be the standard for particular goods. At the same time, sometimes the international standards. Suppose there is some standard already prevalent in Europe, which is as good as the standard that we are having in India or we are going to introduce in India. Or there is some standard which is already prevalent in US and our standard is like having at parity with that standard. So that will always find mention in this BIS also. So for time being, if somebody is importing goods from Europe or US, means when the goods are at parity, those things are also mentioned in the notifications, quality control orders also. So this is very important to understand that only those countries which are having no such standards, they are first means hit by these orders. But some countries, they are because mentioned and having the parity of standardization of goods, like in electronic goods, you will find one particular standard which is prevalent already in Europe or in US, and we are also having the same standard. So for time being, our standard, BIS standard, will mention that standard also, that something which is already in conformation of to that particular standard will also be allowed. So customs is not like blindly stopping everything which is not having that ISI mark. So it's not that way. So you need to understand that, and those countries which are not having any such standard, they need to approach to BIS, get their productions examined, inspected, audited by BIS, and they can apply for the licenses from BIS. So these are few areas means where you can understand that this is like consumer protection area, giving them the best of the products that they deserve, or means where the safety norms are to be increased or where the quality need to be improved as far as the consumers are concerned. So that is the case.
Thank you, Mr. Jajare. Yes, ma'am. Over to you.
Monica, here I'd like to make a mention, that's why I mentioned about this non-tariff. In FTA, only tariffs are given the concession. Anything else is never given a concession. So quality control order will be equally applicable to the countries where we have other trade agreements, right? So whether we have a free trade agreement or concessional trade agreement or different rate of tariffs, it doesn't matter at all. And therefore, they are put in a box called non-tariff. So that this is something ruthlessly put to everybody, which is for the advantage of the country, and there is no compromise on it. And very rightly, Mr. Jajaria has very clearly said that equivalents are published in that particular BIS standard. So customs will never have a confusion that whether it is our BIS stamping, that is ISI, or vis-a-vis, the equivalent is accepted for finding an entry within our country. So that is how it is going to be. It's only a question of everybody falling into this regime, where the 4 months time is already given by the government, and those already in shipment, steel industry and the department has already given them a declaration as to which shipments will be allowed. So I think that should settle this. And definitely it's a good move. And the example of Tripura is a warning. We have been seeing that in tin packaging everywhere, even within the country and outside country. And from China, they used to import this spurious quality of tin. And you can imagine what impact the internal stored good has on that, or tin has on that good. And then everybody eats it. So therefore, absolutely no compromise. So let there be a clarity. With any country, there is no clause in any law where there will be any concession in the BIS, which is already publicized, right? So anything which is publicized, all details are given, and we have to adhere to it. Thank you.
So with this, I would like to conclude this webinar. It was a really wonderful webinar. I like to make a mention and thank DGTS for being partnering with us to have this discussion. I like to thank Shri Sumit Kumar, EDG, DGTS, for bringing a clarity. And audience, the link, if you are able to access or feedback form, I request you to kindly copy and paste to your browser. If you are still not able to access, our team will reach you out and send you by email. I would like to thank Dr. Aruna Sharma, former Secretary, Steel, Government of India, for again bringing the clarity from the policy perspective of how the point is not, we are not saying that we should not import the point is we need to maintain the standards which is required for India. And thank you so much, ma'am, for being here. I would like to thank Mr. Vinod Gupta, Executive Director, Commercial, Steel Authority of India, for sharing his insights, and Mr. Vedant Goyal for projecting, how MSME, how important it is for the MSME to have the better quality steel to fabricate and use in the downstream sector. I would like to thank Mr. Vikram Kulkarni for giving a clarity and insights on the tax, the GST compliances and what precautions importers needs to adopt. And with this, thank you so much, audience, for participating in the conference, in this webinar. Sorry. And also, I'd like to make a mention that we have an annual conference coming up on 26th of August in Delhi at Lee Meridian on Make in Steel, Make in Bharat, where you will see some presentation from Bureau of Indian Standards, and a lot of steel manufacturers are participating. So it's an open invitation. Please reach out to our support team for your participation. Thank you so much, and have a great day ahead. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.